Hi everyone, welcome back to CJD Networking. I'm Chris Stevie, and today I'm going to show you how to get onto a Cisco network device using a console cable and configure it for the first time. So this is an absolute beginner's tutorial, so I'm going to start right from the basics so you know how to configure your device and get it up and running on your network. So the first thing is I am going to show you what type of cable is needed. So I have a couple of pictures here, and this is what's known as a console cable or rollover cable. You normally get this with your network device when it comes. One end is a DB9 serial connector. It has 9 holes in it, and the other end is an RJ45 connector, which is similar to, exactly the same type of connector you'd have at the end of a network cable. These serial connectors are normally not used these days, so you'll probably need a USB cable instead to get onto your network. So the other picture I have here is a more up-to-date cable which you can purchase online from most places. It will then give you an extra COM port on your machine, so it emulates a COM port, and you can then use this type of cable. So on my machine here, if I now go into my device manager with one of these USB cables in, I can see that it is presenting COM4 to my machine. So I need to make a note of that. Next, to get onto my device, I will need a program called Putty. Putty is a free tool you can get from a website called putty.org. I advise just downloading it from this site. I will put this URL in the link below, and once we've downloaded this tool, it looks like this. So the other end of our cable, of our Cisco rollover console cable, will look like this on our device. So we have got a Catalyst 2960 switch here. This is a more up-to-date one, but also has a USB connector here, but most of the time we'll see this console port here. The other picture here is on the back of an old 1841 router, and you can see in the top right hand corner here of this cluster of 4, it says console in blue, and your RJ45 connector from your console cable will plug into here. So with Putty, we will go to serial on the end here. We will put our port number, our COM port number here, which is COM4 on my machine. We will leave the baud rate of 9600 here as default, and we will select open. And I'm going to press enter just to prompt some display. And if you've never configured the device before, if it's a brand new device or it's had the config erased from it, you'll have this wizard at the beginning. You can press yes and go through and configure the options, or you can just press no, which is what I'm going to do here. Now, to get into any device, you will need to enable it in the enable mode. So I'm going to type enable. And now you'll see this little hash sign here appear. This is privilege mode. So now I can type in commands like show run, and this will give me my running config. You may have noticed I pressed SH run for show run like this. That is just a bit of shorthand there just to save typing, but you can actually type the full command show run. Or you can type partial words and press tab, and it will finish it off for you. So show run or show running -config. It's the same thing. So this is our config. this is what stores all of our configuration of the device, and we just need to put some commands in here just to get it up and running. So first of all, we need to be able to ping the device over our network. So on our VLAN 1 interface here, it says no IP address, and I'm going to put an IP address on here. But just before we do that, I'm just going to make sure that I have my network cable plugged in between my PC and the switch. So if I do a show IP interface brief, I can see that VLAN is actually up and interface FA01 is up, which is the interface my cable is between my PC and the switch. So I'm now going to type in conft configure terminal. I can actually type the whole thing here, press a tab again, configure terminal. But you guys can just type conft if you like, just to save typing. So now I'm going to go to interface, int for short, VLAN 1, and give it an IP address. Just before I do that, for good measure, I'm just going to open up a ping prompt for my machine to the IP I'm going to be setting it as, so we can see it come up. So IP address 192.168.1.250. I'm going to give it a 255.255.255 subnet, which is a /24 subnet, and as soon as I press enter here, we know the interfaces, VLAN interface is up, the FA01 is up, and now I can see we're getting replies from our device. So what we want to do now is to do a telnet session to this switch. It's not going to actually work, but I want to show you what happens when we do this. So I'm going to run another Putty session here, this time using telnet instead of serial, and put the IP address now in of our device. I'm going to actually just type in switch here and hit save. That way I don't have to select my options and my IP every time I run Putty. So if I press open now, it says password required but none set. So now we need to enable the passwords. So we have the enable password. That's a password that takes us from our login mode to our privileged mode. So we will type in here, we can type exit here, we don't have to, but it just takes us out of that interface config. We can type enable, and then we can put our password in here. So if we press question mark first of all, it gives you these options. There's the two we're interested in here are password and secret. Password actually stores it in clear text on your running config, so I recommend that you don't use this option and to use the option secret, and secret will actually store it in encrypted mode on your running config. Now Cisco won't allow you to put your password and your secret password as the same for obvious reasons. Once you know one, you'll know the other. So we are going to set our enable password, our enable secret as Cisco. So Cisco is our password here. And now if I come out of our config by exit, and now I do another show run, you can see in our config here we have an enable secret here, and it is encrypted. So if I was to go back into this switch, it would actually prompt me for this password when I choose enable, and enable brings you into this privileged mode with this hash. So we now want to be able to connect to this device via telnet remotely. So even if we try again to get into our device, it won't work. So if I go to test, sorry, I go to here and go to switch, open, it still says password required but none set. That's because the password we've set is not for Telnet. So we have on our config here line VTY 515. We are going to create another VTY sessions. These are our sessions for use for SSH or Telnet. So we're going to create one called line VTY04. Now we're going to type in password, and we are going to set a password here of let me in. Now if I exit this and do a show run, we can see at the bottom here we now have a line VT4. So we have console here. We can set a password if we want for console, but normally that is you need to make sure you know the password for that, because that's our backdoor in if we can't get in any other way. So we've set it for line VT0-4, let me in. So now when we go to Putty, switch, it's now prompting for a password. So let's type let me in, and there we go. So now it's not in privilege mode, so we now need to type in enable and put our password of Cisco, which was our enable password, and we are on our device remotely from our machine. So we don't need anymore, we don't need this. We don't need to console. We now have control of our machine remotely. We can now do a show run if we want. One thing we need to make sure we do, otherwise we'll lose everything if we turn the switch off or reboot it, or if there's a power cut. We just need to make sure we save this config. So we can do two commands. We can do a write mem, which is a legacy command, which a lot of people use due to its shortness, or you can just do WR, same thing. But the official command is copy run start. So this is copying your running config to your startup config. So your running config is your config in your RAM and your memory, while your startup config is stored on your flash device. So it then prompts you again if you're using copy run start. Another reason why most people use write mem. But you press enter again and it will now save your config, and that's it really. So plenty more things to configure on this device. This is just a video just to show you how to get onto your device with a console cable, set it up so you can then configure it via Telnet. Other options are SSH, which is the best practice to use rather than Telnet. But Telnet is a good option just to start configuring your device with. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.